Do you have a sexy Instagram boyfriend that knows all your angles and takes your pics in one go and you're obsessed with them? Do you enjoy flashing strangers in your car as you're changing in between outfits? Cool. Me neither. Listen, I know that I'm not the first person to make a video like this, but what I've noticed about the majority of videos telling you how to grow an Instagram following, how to curate a good Instagram feed, is that they require intense amounts of planning, motivation,
creativity, mood boarding, a social life, a boyfriend, having a car to drive around, living in good weather where you can change in between
Listen, it's hard for me to leave the house as is. If I'm leaving the house just to take a photo, no, it's not happening. So coming from a fellow unmotivated, lazy, and realistic person, these are my tips, okay? And also thank you to EPIK for sponsoring this video. They come very, very handy later, so stay tuned for that. Let's get into it! When you want to incorporate a new habit, such as posting on Instagram more often, such as taking more Instagram pictures, you have to reduce the friction that it takes to do those habits. The first tip I have is called habit stacking. And this technique comes from my absolute favorite book. It changed my life, called Atomic Habits. It was the #1 best-selling book in the world, for a good reason. The habit stacking formula that he talks about is after blank habit that I already do, I will do new habit that I want to do. What I want to ask you is, do you grocery shop? Do you go out to eat with a friend every once in a while? Do you leave the house? Okay, if you leave the house, you have no excuse. Those are all habits. Just tell yourself, after occasion where I have to dress up and look socially presentable, I will take a photo. For example, this photo, it was after I grabbed dinner with a friend and we were walking home. The streets were so shiny because the rain had fallen during dinner. And I was like, can you take a photo of me really quick? 2 seconds, 2 extra seconds, and then we continued on our walk. This photo, I had zero makeup on, I just rolled out of bed, but we were waiting in line for brunch and the waitress told us it was gonna be a 40-minute wait. So I was like, okay, let's take photos. Like, my outfit's kind of cute. It's as simple as that. It's incorporating into your daily routine, stacking it on top of things that you already do so that you don't feel so burdened when you try to dedicate a whole day or routine to something that your brain is not used to and your life is not structured around. And what I love about this is it really incorporates sticky storytelling into photos, which, to be honest, that's all we do it for, okay? Why do we take photos? To commemorate things. And I find that the photos that get the most engagement and that I find myself most fondly looking back on are the ones where there is a memory attached to it. You're probably thinking now, Katie, how do I take the actual photos? Like, I thought you said you didn't need a boyfriend. Okay, now we're gonna move into actually how to get these photos taken and get them good. All right, let me tell you what not to do. This is what I used to do when my mom would take all my photos during quarantine. I'd be like, Mom, this backdrop is so sexy. Like, please take photos of it. And then I'd look at the photos and be like, how could you disrespect my vision like that? We would get into blowout fights because I would keep making her take them and she would get really frustrated. But what I was doing wrong in that situation is I wasn't communicating what I envisioned. Over the past 2 years, I've absolutely mastered that fact. Anyone can be your Instagram boyfriend for a second, all right? So this is what you do. Also, fully aware that at this point, you're probably thinking, Katie, the whole point why I'm watching this video is so that I don't have to ask other people to take photos. Like, that's so, I get it. But think about what is more uncomfortable, dragging your tripod to like multiple locations, setting it up, doing self-timer, or just doing your everyday hang out with a friend that you're really comfortable with, and then on the walk back, dedicating 2 minutes of your time. I personally have found that to be much more sustainable. What I'm about to show you next is gonna show you how you can make an Instagram photo shoot in 2 minutes with anyone, even people who suck at taking photos. I got you. Back to the video. Let's say I really like this clothing rack window situation. I position it exactly where I want the photo to be taken. But that's not enough. By the time that they're holding the angle and you're moving in front of the camera like this, their hands will probably have shifted unless they're a surgeon, but surgeons are in the surgeon room, not taking your Instagram photos. So then they're probably shifting, they could do this, and then like, oh, your vision's lost again. How you prevent that is you describe to them why you like this angle and you describe what boundaries that they cannot cross. For example, I say, I want half of the window and half of the clothing rack in this photo. Don't go beyond that. And that way they know exactly what to include and exclude in the photo. Sometimes your vision doesn't work. It's not physically possible. And then in that situation, the camera would be like, it's not working with like how much of your outfit is in it. And you can troubleshoot using actual communication. But usually what happens, it's like, take a photo, and they're like, okay, I got you. And then they're like trying to make it good, but you set them up for failure because you didn't tell them what exactly you like or don't like, and then they try to adjust it to save you, but then they end up compromising things that you didn't want to be compromised. All of that communication can be solved if you just tell them what you want and don't want in the photo and set up the exact physical angle. this photo was taken by a different person, then this photo, then this photo, then this photo, like, you can coach anyone. Okay, now, you're probably thinking, Katie, but people are gonna be staring at all people looking at me. Let me ask you a question. Think about the last time you walked into the grocery store, walked into any store, walked outside of the house. Do you remember anything about any stranger you saw? Yeah, that's what I thought. So are you gonna let a 10-second memory in a stranger's brain whose opinion you do not care about dictate whether a sexy photo of you gets released onto the internet forever? There's a common theory that psychologists refer to as the spotlight effect, and let me read it off my notes.
The spotlight effect is a term used by social psychologists to refer to the tendency we have to overestimate how much other people notice us. In other words, we tend to think that there's a spotlight on us at all times, highlighting all of our flaws and mistakes for all the world to see.
That's what you're doing every time you're worrying about somebody thinking about you weird for asking your friend to take a photo. No one cares. Yes, they might care in the immediate moment that they look at you and they're like, interesting. They're gonna get in their car, drive off, and worry about what they're gonna kick their kids that night. You know? So don't let that get in the way, okay? Period. Another insanely mind-blowing tip that comes from that same book of Atomic Habits is the best way to incorporate new habits, which Instagram, photo shoot, editing, blah, 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 is environmental design. What do I mean by this? The example James Clear gives in the book is if you find yourself watching too much TV, it's to unplug the TV after each use. That makes that habit a lot harder. More friction is added. But if you want to post on Instagram more, if you want to take more photos, you have to reduce the friction of the steps that it requires between you taking that photo, editing it, uploading it. For the longest time, I put so much pressure on myself. I would agonize over the photos that I had to choose. I would try to edit them to the max by using the most advanced editing softwares, which often required me to airdrop the photos from my phone to my computer, editing it on the computer, airdrop it back to my phone. It made the activation energy so unrealistically high, and the photos would never make it to the internet. How do we solve that? You reduce friction. And this is where my discovery of EPIK changed my freaking life. I wish I had EPIK at the beginning of my Instagram journey. I'm so jealous of you who gets it at the beginning of their Instagram journey. The EPIK app contains every single aspect of photo editing that I struggled with. It has everything from filters to very advanced color correction to my favorite feature, which is the remove tool. And the remove tool, that baby, she removes people in the background. She removes wardrobe malfunctions. Last weekend I went to Coachella. There were so many people in the backdrop of those photos. What do you think I used to remove all those strangers in the background? EPIK. EPIK made it all possible. So let me take you on a little journey of how I edit. It takes me max 20 minutes to choose, edit, and upload it, okay? The only person making it hard is our own selves. So I live in freaking New England. I'm wearing a spring dress. It's cute. It matches the vibe. It matches the background. But it's New England. It was like 45 degrees when I was taking this photo. So I wore thermal leggings under, but the wind was like, you're not safe, girl. So the leggings peeped out a little bit, but fret not. This is why EPIK is so good. I just take the remove tool, zoom in, remove that shit. Do a little zip-a-doo. It's gone. And I don't even have to exit out and like move it to a different app. Then what I usually like to do is I use the selective tool, which allows for a lot of advanced color grading. Like if you really like how your face looks and you don't want to wash it out further, but the sky is super washed out, you can tap on the sky and be like, yo, let's bring it down a little bit. The flowers in the background are looking really washed out and I really want my audience to know it's spring, baby, springtime. So you bring up the warmth and the saturation without making my face like super yellow or super overcolored. And then I want to increase the saturation of my dress. I also want to make my face a little more warm. And then we go over to filters and they have so many sexy filters.
Oh, what a time to be alive. Living in a
Look at that difference, yo. Then you just save it and you're done.
Yes, queen. Yes, queen. Yes, queen.
EPIK is also free. Did I mention that? Yeah, that's really important when you find editing apps because that's another friction point. If you're interested, check the link out in my description. Now I can Instagram post like that. All right, so that brings me into my next point. The most exciting part! Even before I was on social media, I was always that friend that people would ask like, Katie, how do I pose? Like pose me? And do you know why? It's because I did cheerleading. And cheerleading really forces you to know your angles because you're performing at the same time as like lifting entire bodies. So you have to look sexy and cool while you don't feel very sexy and cool. You feel like you're dying. What I have to tell you is if being in front of a camera freezes you out, makes you really nervous, it's because you don't have an arsenal yet. You don't have an arsenal of weapons that you can just, and then you're like, you think you can take me? I'm gonna walk you through my arsenal, and I hope this encourages you to find your arsenal, because my arsenal might be different from yours. Hey, I just threw on these shoes so that I can like model for you. This isn't like my best outfit, but whatever. This is posing 101. First, you never want to stand like this and be like, that's not interesting, honey. Extend, take up space. Take up space, girl. We have been taught all our lives to not take up space, to be like, no, I'm good. No, take up fucking space. Are you look so good. Are you kidding me? Always lean to one side. Shift your weight. Create these body lines, all right? An easy way to elongate your legs is bend forward and part out, or this, pop your hip and extend one leg forward, or cross your legs. But I find this to be just like hard to balance, and it can look a little stiff, but some people do it really well like this. Hands on waist is super, super cool for flattering your waist. It helps to cinch it a little bit. My go-to is always like playing with my hair. Another one that I always do is like this, playing with my hair like this. You need to find your good side, okay? And I know that some people are like, I don't know what my good side is. You will figure it out as you take more and more photos. Mine is this, and so I always make sure that I tuck one piece of my hair back so it really showcases that jawline, and then this is my favorite pose. And the biggest thing I want to emphasize is what makes photos so captivating is motion. It's creating this narrative that what you are seeing is a snippet of a bigger, vibrant memory, and it really triggers their imagination to be sucked into that moment. Look, like this photo has motion in it with my hair, more hair motion. I always try to like keep moving my head, more motion. Practice makes progress. Even though I say like, it's so easy, I'm only able to make this video because it's been 2 years. 2 years ago, I did not have this arsenal of knowledge. Thank you guys so much for sticking with me for the past 2 years, supporting me so that I can experiment and learn. And I'm so happy for you about to embark on this new creative journey. Go do it for the gram, girl. Be sure to check out EPIK in the description because they do be saving my life and they will save yours, trust me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, Yuligans, so much. See you later, and follow me on the gram or you're fake.